Hello, St. Louis and Jefferson County. Welcome to our first podcast, Archway Sports Talk with Al Cowdes and Dan Bullock, where there are opinions on the St. Louis Cardinals and St. Louis Blues and other sports teams, focusing on minor league ball players down on the farm in the Blues minor league system. We are actually going to start off this first podcast with a year-end review 2025 of the St. Louis Cardinals, starting with the catching position. We wrote down each name and starting positions at each spot, starting with catching, first base, second, third, shortstop, left field, center, and right field, and so on. And also going on to starting pitching and relief pitchers and our thoughts and opinions. So we're going to start off with the catching position, and I'm going to send it over to my co-host, Dan, and he will go over a few starting positions with the catching. Take it away, Dan.
All right, Al, thank you. So our very first catcher would be Pedro Pages. Now, Pedro is, even though he hit for some average and 11 home runs, not much of a hitter. He hits 230, really good defensively. I think he actually started throwing runners out at a higher clip than what he had before. Steady catcher. He's not going to overwhelm anybody with his throwing ability, but the pitchers like throwing to him.
He handles pitchers pretty good.
Yeah, and so after that, you had Yoel Pozo. Now, Pozo, he came in with a couple of really good pinch hits and some really crucial hits at crucial times. But let's face it, he was just a fill-in because we had nobody else. I don't know what they do with him going forward, but as of 2025, he was maybe adequate. After that, you had Ivan Herrera, who caught a few games, not much, but he had a few games that he caught, and the poor guy just cannot throw. He good hitter, but his throwing ability has to really improve going forward. And then the fourth catcher was Jimmy Crooks. Now, Crooks didn't come up until after the September call-up, so he really didn't get much playing time. What playing time he had was shared between him, Pages, and even Pozo. But we'll have to see what goes on with him. He didn't really do much offensively. Defensively, he was fine. What are your thoughts on that, Al?
I agree with that. Pages was good with catchers. Starting pitchers seemed to like him. His bat did come around a little better toward the end of the year. And then Pozo came along out of nowhere and did have some clutch hits, Dan. He was a fan favorite, came out of nowhere. Basically, they said he was living in his car with a baby and his wife.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a story. It kind of makes a movie, doesn't
it? Well, yeah, if he could do better on the field.
Yeah, but like I said, yeah. Well, I think, and I'm not being crucial. I think he needs to work. I think his weight has a lot to do with it. He's a big guy. Let's face it. I think if he trimmed down, he could be a little quicker. But he shows potential with the bat. He may be a good pinch hitter down the road.
Yeah, I'm not being critical, but he looked more like a beer league softball player than a major league baseball player. But if you want to go off of the stats, you had Pages that hit 230 and Pozo that hit 231. Now, he did it in like 200 less at bats, but, pretty similar there.
Well, then you got Jimmy Crooks. Limited time up. He's left-handed. They say a lot of positive things about him. Needs more bats. And he's left-handed. Left-handed, Dan.
Yeah, I personally I'm pulling for Jimmy Crooks to make this team in 26. I think he has a lot of work that he needs to do still. But if you have a right-handed hitter and a left-handed hitter from the catching position, you can switch them out. And let's face it, you're going to face more right-handed starting pitching than left-handed. Three-quarters of your pitchers are right-handed. So after that, I guess that takes us to first base, where you had Wilson Contreras and Alec Burleson, with Nolan Gorman getting a couple of starts there also. I guess we got to throw him in at first base.
Mm-hmm. Didn't
Herrera, but that's not going to be his position.
I believe, did Herrera play first base a couple times? I believe they threw him in there.
No, he played in the outfield.
Played in the outfield. He played left field, I believe.
Yeah, a few games.
Sure. Okay, so we got Burleson, Contreras, and Contreras started most of the games.
Now, Contreras, let's face it, in this lineup, he is your power source. Although Burleson can hit for some power, he's more of a line drive hitter. Contreras bats right, Burleson left. So whenever Burleson needs, or Contreras needs a day off, then you got Burleson that steps in. Nolan Gorman's not really going to get much playing time unless there's an injury somewhere at first base. Quite honestly, they don't really have much else to speak of in 2025 to play first base, unless they were to throw Sajasi over there or even Donovan.
Well, with Burleson, I like him because he's left-handed. I think he needed to work more at first base.
Well, and as of this broadcast, he is in line. He's running in line with Donovan for that
utility
Silver Slugger award.
Wow!
So his bat really improved from last year, where, if you remember, at the beginning of 25, they weren't sure what Burleson was going to do for them, because he did hit, but not as consistently as what they would have liked. He has hit at every level, but last year his bat actually was more consistent.
It came alive after
he had
the second half. He was he batted about almost 300, I believe.
290 with 18 home runs.
Yeah.
Contreras had 20.
Right. Well, we have another thing we might need to talk about real quick, and I'll make it short. Contreras may be possible trade block. I know he wants to stay with the Cardinals, but it is rebuilding. He's 29 years old, or how old is Contreras?
Contreras is 33.
Wow, 33. So not that he's old, but usually, rebuilding. And if the Cardinals can get something back in return, but I know Contreras really loves St. Louis and wants to stay here. So you want guys that actually want to play.
And he's got 2 years on it. He's got 26 and 27 left on his contract.
So and then you got, I guess from there, we can move on to second base, Dan, where Donovan usually played first, and he's up for utility player. Also
well, you had Donovan, and you had Gorman. And if you think about it, Donovan and Gorman switched back and forth. And then Sajasi also. All three of them vied for playing time at second base.
And when Donovan was hurt, Sajasi filled in admirably. His bat came alive. He was pulling the ball. When he first came up, he looked like he was in single A ball. He couldn't hit a basketball. And then toward the end of the year, more bats you see, more pitches. He plays a good defense. He's solid. Doesn't have a great arm, but he can do the job. And I don't have a problem putting him in the infield. Well, and he can also play third base too, and some short.
He does have to get a little bit more consistency in his approach, because he hit 258 last year, and you just got to see a little bit more average wise with him. But he can play second, short, and third. Is he a primary at any of those positions? If he is, it's probably second base, with shortstop and then third base being the next ones.
Would you say he's more of a bench player, Dan, more than a starter, or
I say he's more of a utility, where you can put him at any of those three positions, and I guess even in a pinch you could throw him at first base, because even though he's only 5'11", so he's a little bit on the shorter side, he does have a good glove, and he could fill in there if needed.
All right. So we could also put Fermin. Fermin was a utility player. He did admirably at second base. And we also got this young kid named
Prieto, yeah.
Prieto. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce it correctly. That's really doing well in the minors, and could see if you a call up and get some playing time at second base.
Well, Prieto came up
toward the end of the year
in September with Crooks as a September call up, and at the time we were having issues with players staying healthy. If you remember, Mason Wynn got hurt, missed the rest of the season, and so Prieto got called up, and he played a little bit, not much, in the infield for the Cardinals.
Moving on to shortstop position, we had Mason Wynn. So JC filled in there, and also for me. Mason Wynn is your all-star shortstop and will be the starter for many years, hopefully. As long as he stays healthy, Dan.
Yeah.
He's got a little pop. I think he needs to put the ball in play a little more, but he's got a cannon for an arm.
Yeah.
He can cover the infield, and he's got a gun.
I agree. I think Mason Wynn really needs to just focus on putting the ball in play and hitting line drives. Some of these players are so caught up in trying to hit home runs, and they just stop trying to get on base. And with Mason Wynn, he's fast. There's no reason why he can't stretch a single into a double if he hits the gaps.
That's true. It's true. And so JC played shortstop, does strong an arm, but he's adequate. He can make the routine plays, occasionally make an outstanding play. He doesn't hurt you. He does cover ground. And then you got Fermin, also utility player. He's been up and down from the farm. When somebody's been injured, he can fill in admirably. But other than that, Mason Wynn, as long as he stays healthy, is your starter for hopefully the next 5 years or more.
I would hope for more. With him being as young as what he is, 23, 24 years old, he should, at the very least, be your starting shortstop for the next 7-8 years.
Sounds good to me. Let's go to third. Let's go to what we got. Third base next. We got Arenado, who probably going to be traded if the Cardinals eat some of his salary. There are teams he's open to a trade. They are going to have to eat some of his salary, unfortunately. You got Gorman can play third. He said JC and Fermin again can play third. I wouldn't doubt if Donovan can play third. Also,
well, Donovan has played some third base in the past. Not his primary position, but he can play there when needed.
Didn't he play third base in the minors?
Actually, he was a second baseman because you had Gorman that was playing third base. And when Donovan got called up, he was splitting time, actually, at second and third. But in the majors, he's played more second base and outfield than he has third base. Mm-hmm. And he has logged a few games in over at shortstop, too.
Sure. Well, Gorman's got the arm for third. He's got the gun. I think he's got a strong arm. So JC's arm's not as strong, but I think so JC might be a little better fielder. Maybe put in at the end of the game, with 1-run lead or 2-run lead. for defense. That's my thoughts on that. Like I said, it's my opinion. Gorman had a few errors toward the end of the year.
Well, I think Gorman's issues were at the time he was logging a lot of time at third base. Arenado had gotten hurt, and we didn't know what Arenado's availability was going to be for the rest of the year. And I think Gorman was just a little nervous. He didn't want to screw up because he had been playing a lot of second base. And let's face it, the two throws are very different.
Big difference in throw. Big difference.
Yeah. Now, is Gorman going to make anybody forget Nolan Arenado's glove? No. Is he going to make anybody forget Nolan Arenado's strong, accurate throws? Probably not. But he could fill in adequately.
Well, Arenado, nobody coming in a ball better than barehand a ball throw to first better than Arenado.
No. And, we will talk about this more going forward about what we think the Cardinals should do in 2026. But let's face it, Arenado's bat has been declining each and every year. Like you said, there's talk about him being traded. I don't know. We're not privy to that information as far as what the Cardinals' plans are for him. I have my thoughts on it. I've talked to you about it in the past, and we will talk about that in upcoming segments. How about that for a tease?
I like that, Dan. I like that, brother. How about we go to left field now? We've got often injured Nootbaar. We've got Burleson, Donovan, and the new kid named Church. Nootbaar is up and down. He's often injured, and I think he had heel surgery or surgery off season. Talk about him being traded. He's a good outfielder, decent bat. He struggled at the plate this year, I think, because of injuries. He just can't stay healthy.
No, that's been his whole career in the major leagues. He just cannot stay. On the field.
He's a fan favorite. People like him. Sometimes you got to have those guys, but you got to be able to stay on the field.
You're not going to be a fan favorite if you can't stay on the field and you cannot produce.
Correct. So you've got Burleson, Donovan, and Church. Burleson, okay in left. He ain't got much speed, but he catches the ball. He's learned a lot.
Look, he catches what he can get to.
Yep.
And
decent arm.
He's not going to embarrass you out there, but he's not really somebody that you want out there on a regular basis.
Correct. And then you got Donovan, who can play pretty much anywhere. I love this
Army knife.
I love this guy, Donovan. He's a get dirty kind of player, get down, kind of whitey ball player, steal a base when he can.
He's our kind of ball player.
Yeah. He lets it all go. He's just a good all around ball player. Like I said, wherever you put him, he doesn't hurt you.
No,
he knows how to make the play. He knows what he's doing.
He's going to make the plays.
And this guy Church, I don't know much about him. They brought him up toward the end of the year. He's got really good speed and he can play center field, but he's got to learn. He's got to catch up to major league pitching.
Church didn't do much offensively with the Cardinals. He only hit 179, but it was in very limited exposure to major league. Most of his season was played down at AAA, where he did do very well. He did hit for power, for average. He can play center field, like you said, but in St. Louis and down at AAA, there weren't many opportunities to play center field because of Victor Scott, who we'll talk about next. And then down in the minor leagues, you had Michael Ciani, who pretty much played center field every game. But Nathan Church won't hurt you in center field.
All right, so moving on from left field to center field, you've got Victor Scott Jr., who with plenty of speed, hell of a center fielder. If he could just put the ball in play, he's got so much speed. He's trying to hit home runs. It seems like toward the end of the year.
Billy Hamilton.
Yep, he's Billy Hamilton Jr. from the Cincinnati Reds days.
Can't steal first base.
Nope. If he would just bunt the ball, they give him the whole left side, put the ball in play, and run. He can play center field. If he could just bat 260, I'd be okay with that. Maybe
Whitey Herzog would have had fun with him.
Yeah,
because Victor Scott II, he would have done the same thing that he did with Vince Coleman and Ozzie Smith, and he would have put little side bets down, put the ball on the ground, use your legs.
Agreed. Then you got Church once again, unproven really. I think he's going to have a lot to prove in spring training next year. And you got Ciani. Everybody forgot about Ciani.
No, nobody forgot about Ciani.
Nobody forgot about Ciani.
Nobody forgot about him.
Yeah.
He was fine right where he was.
Wow, Dan. Wow, that's a shot at Ciani. But that's okay. This is our opinion. So let's move on.
You could also throw Lars Nootbaar in center field.
Sure.
When needed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you were wanting to get Burleson or Donovan a game in left field, you could throw Lars Nootbaar in center field.
All right, that's our roundup of that center field position. Move over to right field, which I got a few thoughts on that position. Our good buddy Jordan Walker, the future prospect all-star of the Cardinals. I like he's just built.
He's a specimen.
He is a specimen. 6'5" or 6. What did he?
6'6", 250.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The guy,
23 years old.
Yep, 23 years old, and they tried to change his launch angle. Come on, the kid's played ball since he's been 5 years old. See the ball, hit the ball. They pitch him curveballs outside, and what does he do? He's like a deer in headlights, swings at everything.
Well, if you ever watch his stance,
his open stance is killing him.
His stance is open, and when you have an open stance like that, you cannot hit the outside corner. If he would close off his stance and just focus on trying to drive the ball to right field, most of the time, he'll find that he's going to get those middle in pitches that he can turn on, because now they're seeing, he's made an adjustment. Now he's hitting the outside pitch. We can't throw him there. But again, like you said, too many people in his head with too many theories on how he can be better. Just go down there and hit the ball. I like Jordan Walker. I don't think the Cardinals should give up on him. Ideally, I think he would be best served down at AAA, where he never really played except for a few games here and there. Because he came up straight from AA to the major leagues. And that is so difficult. First of all, they use a different size ball. It's not the same ball. AAA and Major League Baseball use the same ball. AA and single A use a different ball. And it's why some of the pitchers also have had issues with control, because it's a different feel, it's a different ball. They're not able to make the ball do the things that they were able to do at the lower levels. So if he could just, going forward, if he could just relax and just be himself, do the things that got him drafted. He was drafted pretty high, top 15. And they just need to let him have some time to mature. Because, like I said, he's only 23.
He's still young. He's got a lot of room to grow. You also got Burleson can play right field, and you got Newtbar and Church, same as center and right or left field. Burleson makes all the regular plays, can catch, throw the ball. Newtbar occasionally can make the outstanding play. He's a good outfielder. And then Church, I haven't seen enough of Church, but what I've seen, he's got the speed. Just like
Speed
I said,
and glove.
let the ball play. Yeah, he's got the glove. He's got speed.
Not sure about his arm strength, but
No.
speed and glove.
No.
He did play a few innings in right field, but for the most part, he was in center field.
So we pretty much did all the infield. We did the outfield is done. In our future podcast, we'll be talking about some minor leaguers that could come up and take some spots from some regulars, since we are in a rebuilding year, according to Chaim Bloom, our new president of baseball operations, and Ali Marmel, still our head coach. We'll give him another shot. We're going to move on to starting pitching and then relief pitching, and then we're gonna wrap it up. And then our next podcast, I believe we're going to start moving into Blues hockey. Maybe a little more talk about Cardinal baseball, and we're going into Blues hockey next. But let's go into starting pitching real quick. We're going to start off with Matthew Liberatore. My thoughts on him: very strong. I think he wore out toward the end of the year, Dan. I think he got tired. I think he needs to build up his arm strength and his core. Good pitcher, throws upper mid-90s. Need a left-hander in that rotation.
I agree.
And he's young.
I agree. I thought I wasn't sure what to expect from Liberatore in the rotation when they decided to put him there in spring training. He had some starts in the past that he did very well, but for the most part, his starts were not very well, where he didn't last more than a couple of innings. So I wasn't sure. I agree. He did get tired. He threw more innings last year than he had at any one point in the major league. So I think an 8-12 record, I'm not upset with that. I'd like to see that flipped to 12-8 or better. Again, he did get tired. He had some fatigue. But again, that's from throwing more innings than what he's ever been used to.
I got you. So let's move on to Sonny Gray, which probably won't be a part of the Cardinals next season. He's already said he would waive his no trade clause, and he would like to go to a winning team. He's 35 years old. He can still pitch. You got some of those teams need a veteran pitcher.
He can still pitch as long as it's not real hot and his hands aren't real sweaty. If you remember, he had a couple of games where he complained that,
ball was slipping
out of his hands because it's too sweaty. Well, it's the same heat for everybody else.
This is true. But he was a competitor. He was a gamer. So I got nothing against Sonny Gray. Took the ball every outing. Like I said, he probably won't be here next year. Then we're going to move on to McGreevy. I think McGreevy's going to be in the starting lineup. When my wife watches the ball games with me on occasion, she said he looks like he's 15 years old. But he's so composed on the mound. He takes the ball. Nothing bothers this kid. He just gets the ball and throws.
Yeah.
I think he's still learning how to pitch.
And he has composure.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I like about McGreevy is he is consistently around the plate. Now, I'm not saying he's Greg Maddux, okay? I'm not saying that at all. But if you're not around the plate, they're not going to swing at it. If you're not throwing strikes and putting the ball in places where if they do make contact, they hit gentle ground balls to your infielder or they pop it up, otherwise you're giving up hits.
This is true. And he doesn't throw that hard. He throws hard enough. He may get it up 94, 95.
He's going to be considered, even with, say, Sonny Gray on the team going forward, he's going to be considered a 2 or a 3, and I don't think that's where he is best suited.
I think he's more of a 4. Maybe I'd take
3
a 4
at very best.
At the best, 3. All right, let's move on to Miles Michaelis, the man with the famous mustache. His contract has ended, and I'm sure everybody out there is pretty happy it is. He was a gamer. He had some few good years here.
He took the ball.
I can't complain. He took the ball every turn. He was, like I said, he was a gamer. He threw a lot of strikes, and they were in the zone, unfortunately.
I just think that Miles was at a point in his career where his ability did not keep up with his love for the game. And that's not a knock on Michaelis. He couldn't stay out of the middle of the strike zone. And it showed with all the home runs he gave up. The last couple of years, he gave up a lot of home runs.
Right.
And he threw a lot of pitches, but a lot of pitches didn't mean that he got you through a lot of innings. It just means he threw a lot of pitches.
Yeah. It looks like Gray and Michaelis will not be back next year. So that's 2 openings in the starting rotation, Dan. And a lot of guys in the minor leagues are going to be fighting for those 2 spots.
I just don't know who they got.
Who they got down there. We're going to have to look at that when we do our minor league section. And
we can look at that when we do a 2026 preview.
I got you. So our final and last person in starting rotation would be Andre Pallante. And I have some thoughts on Mr. Pallante. I know Dan does also. My Pallante, he did start out strong. I don't think he's a starter. I believe he may be going into bullpen.
He's a long reliever.
I think he's more of a long reliever. Got good stuff. He does have good stuff. I think he tired also down the end of the road. But he'd give you a good 3 or 4 innings, and that's it. Which most pitchers nowadays are trained to go 5 innings.
Let's face it. When he came up from the minor leagues and they put him in the rotation because they needed him, he saved their bacon because he was able to give them some innings. And a lot of the hitters hadn't seen everything that he was capable of doing, and so they hadn't figured him out yet. Come 2025, they figured him out, and they hit him hard. And he didn't last very long in a lot of games. He'd have a really good game, and then he'd give you like 2 or 3 not so good games.
Mm-hmm.
And, that could have been a difference in them making the playoffs last year or finishing out of it like they did. You take away some of these bad starts, and maybe they go to the playoffs. Now, that's not to say that they would have done much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're there yet. I think they're still a few years away, but I think Pallante is best suited as a long reliever.
Sure. Well, here's what happened. We got Michaelis and Pallante. I think they threw back-to-back. Then they go 4 and 5.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, it was kind of crazy. We were only, 4 games out at the end of the year by last 20 games left. But every time it came to those 2 guys, or they needed a win.
Well, you even had Steven Matz who would give you a start here and there, and he's no longer with the team. He got traded at the trade deadline.
Helsley got traded. Helsley's gone, and he proved not very well when he left. Just ask the people in New York.
I think we lucked out with that trade.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
I don't know what went on with Helsley, but even when he was with the Cardinals, he was not throwing like he had in 24.
I read an article, and I'll let that go. Something about him tipping his pitches, and he said he was working on certain things to make some changes, and he would like to come back to the Cardinals. I don't know what kind of salary, but I don't know if that's a good idea or not.
Well,
so that's something for another time. But let's get to relief pitching, and we'll finish up with relief pitching real quick. I've got Ryan Fernandez. I've got Gordon Graceffo.
We already talked about Helsley.
I talked about Helsley already. So we got Gordon Graceffo, John Kinn, Kyle Leahy, Riley O'Brien, JoJo Ramiro, and then Matthew Swanson, which I believe Riley O'Brien and Matthew Swanson deserve a chance to come back and possibly start in the bullpen for the Cardinals next year. They've proven they can throw.
I think they did very well in 25, and I think they had a small sample size once Helsley was traded to see what they could do as future closers. And I don't think they hurt themselves. I think JoJo Ramiro is fine as a setup guy. John King, he'd have some good outings and then some outings.
His best pitch is a sinker, double play ball, and he was injured. I'm on the, I don't know. I just don't trust him enough at this point. He was good for a little short time. Then he got injured.
Yeah.
And then you got Kyle Leahy, which
I don't know what King's contract status is, but at age 31,
right.
You got to start looking to move on from him.
Then you got Kyle Leahy, who's been pretty much stud all year. He went through a rough patch, but all pitchers do. He come back. The guy throws mid-90s. Apparently, word out is they want to make him a starter next year, possibly, and maybe make him longer. But I don't know if that's a good idea. He can throw you 2 or 3 innings.
Well, I have my thoughts on Kyle Leahy that I'll share with everyone when we go into talking about the 26th season.
Mm-hmm.
But Kyle Leahy, I think, got overused last year, and that's why he was not as effective as what he was at the early part of the season, and it took him a little bit to get back to where he was. He's got good stuff. He just got overused, and that's a problem with a lot of these managers is they get too comfortable with certain players, and they want to throw them out there every
Same
day.
3 guys every day.
Seventh inning, do that.
You got Romero, you got then you got Leahy, then you get Helsley coming in when he was here, and then they get hurt.
They get hurt, and you don't know what you have going forward.
No. So the Cardinals have a lot of questions for next year since it is a rebuilding year. Hopefully they get a good mix of veterans come back and some of these rookies come to form and bring a better team to the St. Louis and get back to playing the Cardinal way. We appreciate you guys listening for us for our first podcast. And we want to thank our friends and family for their support. And we also want to thank you for listening. Hope you all liked our show. Please feel free to make suggestions or comments. And remember, you only live once, so live it right. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening. Have a good night.